This is Jarrod Horak, and my How to Use Today's Racing Digest video series continues with a look at the track profile. I will use today's Racing Digest data for my examples and all past performances in this video provided by todaysracingdigest.com. And the Today's Racing Digest track profile can be found in the race header section in the complete digest. And the track profile tells us what type of running styles are winning at the distance. I rely heavily on track profile in my handicapping. So if forwardly placed runners do well at a particular distance, those are the types of horses that I want to play. And if late runners do well, then I'm going to give those horses the edge. It just depends on what the track profile says for the distance. Now we're going to look at 3 races on Saturday, November 8th at Aqueduct, and I will be using the complete digest product for my examples. We're going to begin with race 1. And race 1 was an optional claiming event, 1 mile on the main track. And now we're going to look at the track profile. I've highlighted that in yellow, and you're going to see in the track profile 22 races at the 1 mile distance at Aqueduct, front runners winning 59.1% of the time, pressers 22.7%, then mid-pack and rear runners 9.1% wins for each of those running styles. So over 80% of the races at the 1 mile distance at Aqueduct around one turn won by horses that are forwardly placed. And the next thing we want to look at is column 7 in the race header, and that says PER. Those are the running styles. So if you see an F, that's a front runner, a P is a presser, an M is a mid-pack runner, and then an R is a rear runner. So we definitely want to look for the horses that are going to be forwardly placed based on the running styles. And we see an F next to number 3, Midtown Lights. So that one figured to be forwardly placed. Monarch from the outside post also has an F. You're going to see a couple horses that have an X, and that just means that they didn't have a race at the 1 mile distance this year. But we're going to look at those horses to see if they could impact the pace as well. And we're going to start with Midtown Lights, and we'll look at the past performances for this one. And back earlier on in the past performances, which goes back 6 lines for today's Racing Digest, we can see that this one had some decent pace ratings. Now, the furthest number over is the final time rating, and the number right next to that to the left is the pace ratings. And we'll see that this one had a 156 pace rating last November, and then a 125 after that, and then tailed off to a 94, but then started to climb again, getting a 104, a 107, and then a 119 pace rating. So Midtown Lights seemed to be getting back into form, and this one probably would be impacting the pace in this event. And I mentioned some horses that had an X. Well, that was collected data. So we're going to look at the past performances, and we'll pull that up for collected data to see if that one looked like a contender on pace. And that one definitely did have much improved pace ratings in the last 2 starts at 6 furlongs and 6.5 furlongs, getting a 134 pace rating and then a 140. Also, the final time ratings have been going up to a 128 and a 122. So collected data was going to be a contender in this race for trainer Chad Brown. Definitely should have been forwardly placed. So those are the 2 horses, and collected data. It did end up being the favorite in this event. And then, as I said, the other main pace rival, Midtown Lights. Now, we also saw that Monetary Monarch, that one did have some decent pace ratings, or at least had the right running style listed as an F. But the pace ratings were a little bit light. Did have a 150 all the way back November of 2024, but never really came close to that pace rating again. And with the outside post as well, maybe that one could have been in trouble. So then looking at the betting, collected data was the solid favorite in here. And based on those pace ratings and even the final time ratings, that horse was certainly the one to beat for trainer Chad Brown. And then, as I said, Midtown Lights was one that you could have used based on the track profile. And now we're going to look at the results of that race and collect the data. Was the heavy favorite, less than even money, and that horse romped, was able to get to the front and win by 6 lengths under Manny Franco. And Midtown Lights did end up chasing the pace in here, was sitting in 3rd, and then was able to get 2nd as the 3rd betting choice. So the exacta here, the $2 exacta for race 1, $11.56. You wouldn't get rich there, but collected data certainly did look like the winner on paper. And then based on the track profile, Midtown Lights at 7-1 certainly was an exacta candidate to complete the exacta, and that's exactly what did happen. Now we're going to look at race 4, And race 4 is the Pumpkin Pie Stakes, 7 furlongs on the main track. So now we have a different distance here that we're going to look at. And again, we're going to pull up the track profile, and we're going to look at the profile for the 7 furlong distance. And as we can see, 13 races at the 7 furlong distance at Aqueduct. Front runners winning 69.2% of the time, pressers winning 15.4% of the time, mid-pack runners 15.4%, rear runners 0% win. So at 7 furlongs, you're not going to see many closers win, at least based on this 13 race sample. So based on this sample, more than 84% of the races are won by horses on or near the lead. So we definitely want to look for front running horses in this race. And some of the horses, and I actually did this race when I was handicapping. I did a handicapping video, and I did do this race. And looking at the running styles, Weigh the Risks from the outside, that one was a front runner. And as I said in other videos when I'm handicapping, when you have races at the 7 furlong distance, these extended sprints coming out of the chute, typically I look for horses with early pressing speed and outside posts because they can work out more comfortable trips, as opposed to horses that are breaking from inside posts, and they may have to hustle a little bit out of the chute. But the outside posts, if they have that early pressing speed, they can just work out comfortable trips on or near the lead. So Weigh the Risks, that one as a front runner from the outside certainly had the pace ratings to match up with these. And that one was a solid contender in here. And looking at the pace ratings from the last couple of starts, even had a 155 and a 147, and then the final time ratings of a 131 and a 153. That one definitely a contender in there. Now Patricia Ann right next to that one with some tactical speed. That horse had some decent pace ratings as well, getting a 161 pace rating in her last start with a 141 final time rating. So if she could run those kinds of numbers, she certainly should have been forwardly placed in here. And then some other horses, Taliesin was another one that could have been forwardly placed, had a 135, a 159, and a 146 pace ratings. But that one coming in from Parks, you just don't know how those Parks horses are going to match up. When they leave Parks, they don't always run the same numbers. So Parks is one of those specialty tracks where some horses love that track and then they leave and they don't run as well. So looking at the running styles and the pace ratings here, Patricia Ann and Weigh the Risks were the 2 horses. And those are the 2 horses that I did land on as my top 2 contenders in this event. And as I said, I did a video for this one, and I figured that those 2 with those comfortable outer posts would be able to work out some decent trips, and that's exactly what did happen. And they were able to be right up on the pace. Now your favorite was Weigh the Risks from the outside post, but I did make Patricia Ann my top choice. She was 6-1. She offered more value, and she ran a good race, but Weigh the Risks was best, and that one did win by a length and a quarter. And Patricia Ann chased that one and was able to be second. So another decent exacta here, looking at the track profile, looking for horses that would be forwardly placed, and you had Weigh the Risks as the favorite, winning with Patricia Ann at 6-1 running second, and the $2 exacta paid $16.98. So I did have that exacta. And the last one we're going to look at, the last example, we're going to look at race 5, a maiden special weight event, 6 furlongs on the turf course. And again, we're going to look at the track profile for Aqueduct 6 furlong turf races, 17 races, front runners winning almost 71% of the time, pressers winning almost 12% of the time. And then we have mid-pack runners, 11.8%, rear runners, 5.9%. So this is another distance. We're looking for horses that are going to be forwardly placed in here. And looking at the running styles, Belarosa has a P for presser. So that one, we have a lot of horses with X's here, but it was a maiden special weight event. You're going to be having horses switching surfaces, first timers, and some other factors to look at. But Belarosa with that P was the only horse that had a P. So we're going to look at Belarosa's past performances to see if that one did look like a contender in here. And she definitely did. Her pace ratings were going up in all 3 of her starts. She went from a 119 pace rating in her debut to a 134 to then a 138 at 6 furlongs on turf when she finished second in her last start. And her final time ratings went up from a 39 to a 110 to a 114. So Belarosa had the right running style, and then she also was improving. All of her Today's Racing Digest numbers were improving, including that pace rating, that all-important pace rating. as I looked through the past performances on some other horses, Fraudster caught my eye for trainer Todd Putcher, and this 2-year-old filly had only run 3 times, 6-furlong debut on the main track, and then that day she ended up finishing 5th, but then she was stretching out on turf, and then she finished 3rd, and then she finished 6th. So then she was going to be cutting back in distance here. But looking at her pace ratings, she had a 105, then a 123, then a 131. Now, that 123 and 131, they were in route races, but that's a good sign that her pace ratings were going up. And then Putcher did turn her back, maybe thinking she couldn't quite go that far. And he had very good numbers route to sprint as well. So Fraudster, based on those pace ratings, those improving pace ratings, looked like a contender. And Belarosa would be the one to beat in here. And the good thing was that she was not the favorite either. So looking at the results of this 5th race, Belarosa did go off at 4-1, and she was right up on the pace, battling on the pace. She was able to get to the front, kick clear, and then hold off Fraudster to win by a length and a quarter. And Fraudster tracked the pace and was clearly second best. So that was a good effort from Belarosa and Fraudster. So Belarosa on paper looked like the horse that had the best pace ratings, that fit the track profile the best at 4-1. And then Fraudster, that one turning back in distance with improving pace ratings, figured to be at least within hailing distance of the leaders. And that's what happened. She was able to sit in 4th place and then was clearly second best at the end. And this turned out to be a nice exacta. You had Belarosa at 4-1 winning, and then Fraudster at 6-1 running second. That $2 exacta paid $58.80. So that is a look at the track profile. You should definitely consider the track profile heavily in your handicapping. You don't want to be playing horses that don't fit the track profile. I know it's exciting to play horses that come from nowhere, and you want to cash, the horse just passes them all. But typically, the track profile will lead you the right way. Now, we can't control how the jockeys handle the horses. Sometimes they don't come out of the gate even though they have good pace ratings. They could stumble at the start. A lot of things can happen. But if you follow that track profile and you just keep playing that way, you're going to be cashing because that's the way the track is going to be playing in the long run, and you want to win money in the long run. So that is my look at the track profile. And today's Racing Digest has been providing past performance data to handicappers since 1970. And one of their most popular products is the Complete Digest. And I showed examples on the Complete Digest in this video. And the Complete Digest includes the race header, fractional charting, analysis, fire numbers, the track profile, pace and final time ratings, wagering strategies, and much more. You can go to todaysracingdigest.com for more information on their handicapping products. And like, comment, and share these videos if you like them. Subscribe to my channel as well. It's free to subscribe. And until I see you next time, good luck at the races.